Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thursday. I can't believe another week has blown by and together. So I think everything is all set up and running well. And if you can hear me, please stop by and say hello and maybe where you're from if I don't already know. I'm guessing I will see some of my crafty friends out here that have been hanging out for the past couple of weeks. You guys again, and let me get started here. So I was on Altenew's channel earlier today, and we were doing some work with their brand new product, which is the Craft a Flower set, which is totally awesome. It is a new subscription that they're doing. And every month you will get a new flower set, and it's just the dies. Oh, and I see that my stream is like a little wonky. So let's see what maybe I can do here. It should settle down. I know that they're kind of throttling the internet because everyone's on it. And it's 4 o'clock, so a lot of people are probably coming home. So hopefully I don't break up too much. Hi, Jennifer. Good to see you. Welcome. So anyway, I'm going to show you just a couple of little things there, and then I'm going to show you the project that I did for the Tic Tac Toe challenge, which just did today, a new challenge, which was a ton of fun. And that kind of leads into the activity that we were going to do, which was talking about coloring with alcohol markers. So I thought I would do some kind of basic coloring so you can be more comfortable with it and get started with using alcohol markers. So that is what I have planned. And hopefully this is working okay. It seems kind of really choppy today. Oh, well, it is what it is. It's cold here. Maybe the internet's cold too. My husband had to turn the heat back on. So we're in that, like, it's late spring, like it should be summery here by now, but it's not. So, oh well, you can see like I've got layers on and long sleeves and all that good stuff. So let's pop down to the tabletop. Yeah, Miss Champ, I think it's just me and YouTube. YouTube is throttling. Yeah, because I see like in the playback, it's kind of glitchy, which is not fun. Is my voice coming across okay, or is it crummy too? You know what? I have my phone and turn it on and see if I knew where my phone was. Maybe I won't. I put it somewhere and now I don't know where it is. I probably took it upstairs and I didn't bring it back down with me. Oh, well, so I guess I'm not going to. Hopefully it settles out a little bit. It seems maybe to be a little better. Nope, it's still glitchy. Let's see. I'm going to try something, and if I have to pop on and start over again, I will pop on and start over again. I'm going to try to change some resolution here, so hang on. I don't know if this is going to work. Oh, hang on a second. Maybe that'll be better. That seems to be better. Something weird happened with my connection here that it decided it wanted to start streaming additionally, but it didn't need to be doing that. Hey, that seems better. Is that better, guys? That maybe fixed it. Okay. So anyway, I just got off of Altenew's channel and I was using their new Craft a Flower Lily. There is a blog hop going on with this right now. And it just came out today. It's a new monthly subscription, and it's just like the rest of their 3D. Okay, good. It's just like their 3D dies. And each month you will get a new flower. So this month's was the lily. And I created some cards. These are over on my blog today, but I recreated them on that live stream. So you can go over and check that out. But here's a sample of those, which is really cool. I had a ton of fun with these. And then I did this one as well, but they're out of this, the red Cosmos color pack. And so there's that one. And then I did this other fun one that is just like the outline and then like one of the pieces to cut out some extra little stuff, which is really cool. Okay. So I have a little piece in here that's driving me nuts. There we go. So, and this one is also based on the current inspiration challenge over on the Altenew blog. So if you use their challenge colors and inspiration photo and submit a project, you can you maybe win a gift card from them. So there's lots of opportunities to win lots of gift cards from Altenew. So there's that. And then I had this really fun idea that because you just have to reverse the dies, that you could make it like truly three-dimensional. So this is like, if you put this on a regular floral pick, you could turn this into an actual like freestanding flower arrangement, which would be really crazy. So I thought that was so cool. Anyway, that's what I was doing like just about 2 hours ago. I started that one. So that went from 2 to 3 Central, and that's over on the Altenew channel. The replay is available now. So anyway, a ton of fun. So today we're going to work on this fun card. Hello, Becca. Good to see you. So this one is from the Tic Tac Toe challenge, and Tenia is our designer this time. And so that means that she's the person that made up the challenge board. She had lots of cool stuff on there, like label maker and digital file and things like that. And I was really stuck on what I was going to do. And then I saw the leftmost column. So the leftmost column was rainbow, purple, and coffee. And I knew I was going to grab one of my caffeinated critters here from the rabbit hole designs. So cute. And the octopus, of course, because he can be purple. And then I did like a cool rainbow background. So we're going to do this card. And yes, absolutely, Becca, to use the flower, to just circle back real quick here, to use this, the double-sided one for like a pop-up box would be awesome. That would be really cool. Except that it gets really thick. So that's probably about maybe a ½ an inch thick with all the puffiness here. So I guess you could do it just flat. You don't have to make it this dimensional if you didn't want to. You could just layer them all like you would normally. And that would work really great too. Then you'd have it from the front and the back. That would be really cool. Anyway, okay, so see, I told you guys I was going to figure out a way to do some coloring with alcohol markers so that we could talk about it today. So we're going to do that. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot to pull out a piece of vellum for this. So we'll do this card without the little vellum piece because that required extra work. Okay, so I'm going to start with the background, and I'm going to grab... Just going to grab this so that way I don't have to worry about like cleaning up. I can just move that off to the side. Okay. So to do a rainbow, you really only need 3 colors. You need a red, a yellow, and a blue. Because when you blend them together, they're going to give you the intermediary colors, right? So instead of doing like the barn color and more of like the sea color on the Distress Oxides, I picked a pink and more of a lighter blue to give us kind of an alternate rainbow. And as you can see, it works just as well. And it's really kind of pretty because it's not as intense or it's not as dark as you would get with a traditional blue and a traditional red. So it works out well. Okay, so I don't know. Are you guys fans of ink blending? Does it intimidate you? Is it something you enjoy doing? Oh, you know what I was going to do? I usually start with the yellow in the center when I'm doing a rainbow. So that way I can kind of gauge where the center is and make sure that I've got enough color for both the top and the bottom, because the yellow is what everything is going to blend with. Right, so I'm using mustard seed. This is the same yellow I would use for a traditional rainbow. I didn't like any of the other yellows that I had to be the right color, right shade of yellow. So I do more yellow because I know I'm going to have to blend in. I have to blend in the other colors. So I'll probably come back to that. And then, so this is picked raspberry. And I'll come in at the top. So I try to get the pure pink down first and then come back in just a little further to get the orange where it's going to blend in with the yellow. So one thing I think people forget about ink blending is that you have to let these colors kind of mellow out a little bit before you judge how good your blending is. So like I've got a really hard line right here. So I'm going to come back in with my yellow and soften that up. But it may still not look perfect. But you kind of have to let it sit and absorb into the paper. And then eventually it's going to blend in and it'll look good like this. All right. So Ms. Champ, you still only have your few ink cubes, right? Okay, so Distress Oxides and other pigment inks are really great for doing ink blending with. You can do ink blending with dye inks, but they dry really fast. So sometimes it's really hard to blend them. Okay, so then this color is Broken China. It's one of my favorites because it's a really nice blue-green, more on the blue side than on the green side. Isn't that pretty? I really like the way that blue looks. And with this particular style of ink blending, I'm going for the gusto. So I don't have to worry about like blending off to the side or whatever. I really want a lot of color. So I really load up my blending brush and go for it. Okay, so see how much yellow I had down there to begin with, and now there's just this little strip in the center. So again, I'll take my yellow blender and just back that off a little bit. And if I need to, I can go back into my yellow and come down the center to give myself a better line there. And then I'm going to actually go over here into the blue to blend that green in a little bit more. And then one last fix to soften that line. And kapow, we have a really cool rainbow. So you only need 3 colors. Of course, we can do different blends too. I mean, if you just wanted to go like a straight blue to green, you could do that with the yellow. You could do just, you know, this part of it with the orange and the red and the pink for kind of a sunset look. If you did the pink and the blue, you would get a purple. So that's how a rainbow works. Okay, so that is the first part there. Very simple. And I wanted to add some spatter. Oh, I need to get my water. Water. And get the towel. So the cool thing about Distress Oxides is this oxide reaction that gives you all of this white spots in here. Okay, so I'm just taking a water sprayer, and this one happens to be the Tim Holtz sprayer, and I love this one because it is it's really, you can spray it and get a fine mist, or you can just kind of slowly slowly push down on the trigger here and get bigger drops. So see, if I go slow, I can get these bigger drops. You probably can't see that happening. Not yet. See that? Those big drops. And if you go fast, you get a mist. This is a piece of silicone. So this is like from a kitchen mat that you could bake on. And I had a big piece and I cut it down into smaller pieces that I use for different things. So it's nice to use it for blending, and then I can just move it out of the way. So, okay, so this is oxidizing. I could leave it like this, or I can just take my paper towel and pick up that extra ink, see? And then I have these cool white splatters. All right. And then another thing you can do is you can add sprays on top of it, either the Distress spray stain or the oxide spray. Actually, you know, I'm going to do this one first. This one doesn't have a ball in it, I don't think, because it's just the spray stain. I still shake it up, though. Yeah, so Becca, these come in all sorts of different colors, and you can get, I mean, it's just a kitchen silicone mat. So you can get that for much cheaper on Amazon because it's not branded as a craft item. It's a kitchen staple. So they tend to be a lot cheaper. And then you can cut them up to whatever size you need them for. I'll show you the one that I have in my Misty, which is a piece of this in a minute. Okay, so I'm just taking the black and I'm going to tap on here. Come on. Now that it's at YouTube. There we go. Get some spatter on there. It's spreading in some areas because these little spots are still wet. That's okay. So that's going to dry pretty quick. And then the oxide spray. So the difference between these two is that this has that same oxidation compound in it that makes it get that white chalkiness. Okay, so, and this one is just an ink. Okay. So same thing for this. I thought I'd do gray just to kind of break it up a little bit instead of doing all black or all white. Give it a little bit of a softer look. Okay, so this panel is done. And it's got all that goodness on it. So these little gray spots are going to dry, and then they're going to end up looking kind of like those that are on there. All right, so I'm going to set this aside. And see, now I can just like pick this up and then everything just washes right off of it because it's silicone. Nothing really sticks to it. It will discolor a little bit, like if you use inks that like to stain like yellows and pinks and reds. But this stuff will all just clean off of it perfectly. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. And I did get some overspray here. Well, maybe not. So that's that. So I cut a piece that was smaller and I use it inside my Misty. So instead of using the grid paper that it comes with, I have a piece of craft foam. And or using the foam that it came with, I have a piece of craft foam and then a piece of the silicone in here. And that gives me a nice soft surface to stamp on. But you know, like if you're going to stamp something and it's going to go off the sheet and you have that piece of foam underneath, then you might end up with some ink there. And then if you put another piece of paper down, it's going to get that ink on it. So this way I can see if there's ink on it and then I can wipe it off. And that's super easy. And because it's kind of heat resistant, if I needed to, I could use my heat tool in here, but I haven't had the reason to do that yet. So that's that. So I cut it up into small pieces for all sorts of, I have even like smaller pieces that sometimes if I'm just doing little work for blending or something like that, I just pull out a small piece and use that. Okay, so the next part, I guess I could have, excuse me, I guess I could have left that out. So while I'm waiting for the background to dry, I'm going to go ahead and do our little octopus. So this will get us into some of our coloring discussion. Rabbit Hole Designs just came out with another new caffeinated critter, and it's bugs, and they're so cute. It's like an ant and a cockroach, I think. It's a combo set, so it's not a 3x4. I think it's a 5x7. Super cute. Here's my paper. And actually, I will use this again. Okay, so when you're coloring with alcohol inks, you have to be careful about what black you're going to do. So you can't use a VersaFine Clear or a VersaFine because it will smear when you use your alcohol markers with it or any kind of alcohol ink. You have to use a water-based ink to do any kind of outline work with an alcohol marker. So just remember that opposites attract, basically. So water with alcohol markers, alcohol or oil-based for watercolor. Does that make sense? Okay. So I have lots of choices. I could use my Memento Tuxedo Black or any Memento color. That would work. I could use my Altenew Permanent Black. That would work. I could use a hybrid ink. So like scrapbook.com's hybrid ink or a dye ink. So any color, you don't have to use black necessarily. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm just going to do a black outline. Yes. But if you wanted to make it look more like a no line coloring, I could do this guy in purple and then you wouldn't have the lines, right? So just like no line watercoloring, same concept. Or you could use like a light color and then do no line watercoloring or no line markering. That's not as popular to do necessarily, but I've seen it done and it's pretty stunning when it's done correctly. Okay, so pop this guy down here. And I'm going to use my Altenew Permanent Black. All right. So has everyone had a good week? I hope. I don't know that I need to restamp this, but I'm going to. Like I said, my week went by super fast. I can't believe it's Thursday again. Go. Okay. This matte, Lakita, or the silicone matte? I'm glad you're having a good week, too. Oh, and I have to ask, for those of you that have been hanging out with me in previous weeks, so this time I'm doing a black background. Do you like it better? Or do you prefer the white background? Because I'm kind of 50-50. Sometimes it's hard to get a good video with the black, and sometimes it's hard to get a good video with the white. Or does it not matter to you? And I'll just pick whatever I like whenever I like. I'm glad to hear that everyone's having a good week so far. Okay, so I'm going to start off tonight using Copics. And then maybe I'll pull out my Altenew ones later. Oh, you didn't even notice. Well, I guess that's a good thing that you didn't even notice. Okay, so I don't have a full collection of Copics. And I'm not really inclined to do so. What was I going to? Oh, I know what it's going to grab. There it is. Okay. So when I was starting with this, basically I knew I wanted it to be purple. So I keep like all of my, I have all sorts of little paper containers like this with all the different colors in it. And this one just happens to have all of the V, BV, and RVs that I have. So I pulled out violets. And even this blue violet, I thought maybe I would use it. And what I did was make a little color chart. So this is V17. I went through to see what colors I thought I might use. So this is V20. and so on and so forth. So let's go through these guys. Now, if I had these swatched out, I probably would have just pulled the swatches. So as you can see, like if you had swatches, I would definitely be saving myself some time right now. And then this is V4. All right, so those were some of the initial colors I picked. And then I looked at V25 and V12. And V6. Yes, exactly, Miss Tamp. So permanent black, or a hybrid, or a memento, or a dye ink for markers, for sure. B9. So this is what I started with. I said, okay, these are the violets that I have. Which ones do I want to use for my coloring? And this group over here is what I ended up picking. So these guys went back into the pile. I'm not doing anything super advanced. So I figured if you're getting started on coloring and you don't know where to start, this is a good place to start because you're not concerned about things like undertones and layering wacky combinations to get good shadows and things like that. So I thought this would be a good place for us to start, right? Yeah, so inventorying is something that I need to do, Becca. I have a little app that I'm trying out, and I just haven't gotten very far with it. Okay, so anyway, these are the 4 that I picked. And I like to work from dark to light. And so I started with the octopus itself, and I knew that in the end, he was going to be this V06, which doesn't look, it looks lighter here, but he has a couple layers on top of him. So with alcohol markers, when you put a color over itself, it continues to get darker until it's like completely saturated the paper, at which point you've gone too far. So when you flip it over, you should never really see like a fully saturated image. You should just see some ink poking through. So one other thing I should say is the kind of paper you choose matters. Good paper to use for alcohol markers is Nina Solar White 80 pound. It's got a really nice smooth finish to it. So when you feel it, you're like, oh yeah, that feels really super smooth. That's awesome. Whereas like if you feel their 110 pound, it's got a little bit more texture to it, and you can feel like the weave isn't as tight. So basically what you're looking for is a paper that feels nice and silky smooth. Stampin' Up's Whisper White is actually quite good for this as well. I think people use Bristol Smooth, so Strathmore Bristol Smooth as well for blending. And then also there's Express It, yeah, paper, which actually I have, but today I'm using the Nina Solar White 80 pound. So there's a lot of different papers that you can use. You just want something that's smooth, so that way the ink will move. So that's basically what you want to have happen. The ink is going to move. That's what happens with alcohol markers. And that's how you get those really great blends. So one color blends into the other when you overlap those together. Okay, so I'm going to start with dark. I like to go dark to light because if you go light to dark, a lot of times to finish the blend, you have to go back to light. So then you're going over things and things get too dark in the end. So I start with the dark. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go just around the edges of this guy, basically. And I'm taking the brush end and very lightly just coming around in all the places where I think it's going to be darkest, like from shadows. So basically the shadows are just places where the octopus either it's curved, so like his little, the end of his tentacles here, it's going to be dark because it's curving around, and this part's going to be lighter, and it's going to be darker here. And then it's going to be darker here because this tentacle is behind everything. And then this part will be darker because it's closer to the ground. Same thing for here, and it's curving under, right? So I'm just doing this whole little outline kind of deal. And that here. And then his little, it's curving around a little bit here. So I definitely would do just a little bit on the edge. And then come around again, just along the bottom here because his tentacle is curving, right? You could do a little bit on the top too if you wanted. And then again back here. Right, and then there's one more little spot up here where he's holding the coffee. Okay, so then the last thing is that, of course, his face is round. I always call these guys boys. I don't know why I'm always saying him, him, him. All my characters are always hims, but he has curlers, so I guess it could be a guy with curly hair, yes. So we're creating depth here with a darker color, and this is just shadowing. And I'm not, like I said, today I'm not doing anything fancy with different colors for shadows. I'm just using the same colors. This is a really good way to get started. And he's got these bags under his eyes, right? So I'm going to color those in, just go over the lines with this purple as well. And then his little eyebrows. I'm going to leave his little drool mouth okay for now. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to take in now my V06, which is this next color here. And this I did was just a 2-color blend. So this is about as easy as it gets. So from the purple, the darker purple, the V09, I'm going to, let me just do this. Okay, so this is my purple, my V09. And then my lighter color, I'm going to start inside of it and move it out like so. And what's going to happen is, so I've reactivated this, and now these two are going to blend together. And that's how alcohol markers work. So in order to get that blend to happen, I have to move this marker and start in the darker color and push the color out. If I go this way with it, it will have a tendency to push the color back in. And that's not what I want to do. I want the color to come out and blend along this line. And if at first it doesn't look like it's doing anything, just let it be. If you've gone around and done all of this outlining, chances are the darker color is already dried a little bit. And so when you put the lighter color on it, it needs to kind of reactivate and say, oh, I'm going to move. And then it'll start moving. Okay, so I feel like I'm not quite getting a good blend yet, which is okay. So now I can take I'll go back to my V09, and I'm just going to kind of reinvigorate that a little bit. Just doing these little kind of swishes. To help get some more dark in there. I think what happened is I didn't really come out far enough to begin with, and that's okay. It can be fixed. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see this, but you see how this is darker here and this is lighter here? That's because this already has like 2 layers of the VO6 on it, and the center I just colored in. So I've already created like another color because of that. Does that make sense? If I want to make it more uniform in color, I can just go over the center here and try to get things to just move around. So there we go. So at this point, I'm putting yet another layer of the VO6 over this. But like I said, I'm just doing a 2-color blend. And I really want this purple to be rich and dark. So I'm okay with doing this. When we turn it over, it might be pretty soaked through, which would indicate to me that we don't want to do any more with this guy. Yeah, see, that's pretty soaked through. I wouldn't color anymore. Okay. But he's so cute. All right, so that's basic blend. Basic. All right, so for his eyes, I did a combination of blackberry, lilac, and lavender. So I'm pulling the darkest shade out of the mix. And this is lavender, the VO6 again. And I'm going to do these little flick strokes. Like that. And then the next color is the pale blackberry, which is V25. Actually, I may have just used these 2 colors because this is pretty pale. And I colored over the whole thing. So it gives me this kind of extra bluey, purpley eyelid. And I really think that makes him look tired. So I don't know if you saw what happened there, but when I put this color over, because it's so light, basically what's in here is a lot of colorless blender or something similar to that. And what that's going to do is just kind of push everything out of the way. And that's what happens when you use the light colors. And then this one is even lighter. This is the pale lilac. And it's going to create like this super light spot in the center here. See how it's just pushing everything away. So when you hear colorless blender, it blends nothing. It pushes color away. All right, so let's do this eye here. There we go. All right, right, so for his curlers, I used the pale lilac again. Yeah. I just colored these straight up. And then I can come back with the lavender. Actually, I think I did gray in those. So this is just adding a little bit of dimension. And then, yeah, I took this cool gray, which I'm going to use for the cups as well. And I did that in little centers. So that's pretty much the octopus. See, he's so cute. All right. So then for coffee, I just, again, a 2-color blend, dark suntan and copper. Now let's see what colors these. So dark suntan looks like that. And copper should be the darker color. So again, I just outlined the coffee. And then right here where it kind of pours out, I added some there. And then I'm going to come back in with the suntan and fill that in, and that's going to blend together and into the mug. And to give the carafe some color, I used Cool Gray 1 and just color that in plain to make it look more like glass, not just a white uncolored image. And for his lid, Cool Gray 3. With Cool Gray 5 in the center. All right, and then the mugs all follow kind of the same formula with Cool Gray 5, 3, and 1. And again, so a 3-color blend, but not a whole lot, just a little bit of gray on the sides. Hi, Heidi. Thanks for joining. Glad you're here. Actually. So did you see how little bit I have on there? 3, yeah. And then Cool Gray 1 in the center to give it just a highlight. So I will do that for the rest of them. So what do you guys think? Do you think you could handle some basic blending with your alcohol markers now? What kind of questions do you guys have? Yeah. So, Sue, I kind of prescribe, I mean, I never really thought about it this way, but when I do my coloring, I'm not ever really looking for a light source. And I guess that's the way that Kathy Rakusin teaches it as well, that she's never really looking for a light source in most instances. So you're just thinking about the way that things are shaped and how any light might interact with that, right? So that takes a little bit of the pressure off. Like you're not trying to make a perfect shadows and light spots and what have you. Now with this guy, I maybe should do something to make his forehead look a little bit more round than it already does, but I chose not to do that. Ms. Tamp, to your point, starting with a larger image is easier for sure. And I pulled out some other sets for us to look at so that you can kind of see how that works with the larger set, or as large as I could find. Because then you run the risk of like a lot of detail as well. It just kind of depends. Because the larger the image without, like if it's just a line image and it doesn't have the detail in there for you, it can be difficult to figure out how to make it look dimensional. Does that make sense? I will show you an example if it doesn't. Well, I'll show you an example regardless. All right, so those cups, you could see the top of them, so I had to add in some coffee. So there's our finished guy. What do you mean recommend what to stamp with as far as like black inks? It just needs to be something that is water-based. So it needs to be a hybrid ink or dye ink. So like Memento Tuxedo Black works excellent. This black dye ink from scrapbook.com would work. Hybrid ink would work. And the permanent black from Altenew would work. Don't use your VersaFine or your VersaFine Clear. They will bleed. It will smear all over the place when you put an alcohol marker to it. And you don't want to do that. So do I color die cuts? Oh, you mean like just a shape that you could color? Yeah, absolutely. I can't say that I do it often, but it makes sense to do so. And actually I could show you that after we finish this card. I'll pull out some die cuts and show you how you could do some coloring on them. Okay. So this guy has a coordinating die, which makes it so easy. I do have everything listed down in the description. I tried to think ahead as much as I could for what I'd be showing you today. So basically, I think almost everything is down there. You can find these rabbit hole designs at a couple different places. The one that I have in there is Cat Scrappiness, and I'm an affiliate there. So otherwise, you can find it at therabbitholedesigns.com, and you can find it at Simon Says Stamp, although I think it's out of stock at Simon. All right, so done with this little guy. Okay, so here is, if you guys came in late, we started off doing some ink blending. So I did ink blending with 3 Distress Oxides. I used picked raspberry, mustard seed, and broken china to create a beautiful rainbow. So if you missed it, you'll have to go back and see the replay. All right, so I have a card base here. And on this one, I did blue side up. I could do blue side down. Let's see what that looks like. It looks just as good. All right, so there's that. And then for him, I'll do some of these. I'm trying to get rid of the round ones that I have because I really dislike round foam pop-ups. I usually use the square ones because then I don't have to worry about cutting up all the extra to use. That's just me. Or I use like foam tape instead of the pre-cut stuff. All right, so I forgot to cut out a piece of vellum for our sentiment, so I'm just going to do that later. So I'll pop him on here and I'll finish it later. So cute. Love this. Okay, so Tic Tac Toe challenge. It's live now and you can play through Tuesday, I think. I can't remember when it shuts down for the week. But lots of fun options there. Okay, so let's see. You wanted to know about coloring die cuts. Let me pull out. Oh, yeah. So let me pull out a couple of ideas. I was thinking. Okay. So I will show you something cool with those. And I was thinking of, what was I thinking of? I don't know if I own them. Yeah. I thought I had like a really cool set of, well, here I could show you a star. I can do these too. So I thought I had some nice nested dies that were kind of a cool shape. Oh, here they are. Okay, so this is like rolling it back a whole other step. So if you're not comfortable yet with coloring pictures, and you just want to get a feel for blending itself, then this is a totally cool way to do it. Now let me pull out some other colors. I'm going to show you my entire collection of Copic markers. Okay, so this is what I have. So those go with that. Those go back with those. And I got all of my Copics used, or the majority of them, I got them used on eBay, which I will admit is a bit of a risk because you don't know what you're going to get, like how dried out they might be or whatever. I lucked out totally. This person was selling off a couple different lots. I picked them up. I got them at a great price. They all worked. They were all pretty full, as a matter of fact. I actually weighed them I follow someone that does Copic coloring for a living. She's an artist, a professional artist, and she's taught me a lot about Copic markers, like how much they should weigh and how to refill them and all that good stuff. So I weighed them all and they were all about the right weight. There were a few that were short, so I picked up refills for them. So I really lucked out. Of course, you can find them at all sorts of stores like Dick Blick and what have you. And those are the links that I have down below. But I encourage you, I mean, if you really want to invest in these, because these are by far the most expensive alcohol inks out there. And that's for reasons because they're amazing. They're really super, super, super high quality. They are imported from Japan. And it's what all the professionals use. These are great, but look for a bargain for sure. Okay, so let's do something fun and some different colors here. So the problem with Copics is understanding, before I move on to that. So yes, Becca, the weight. So if you put these on like a kitchen scale, they should all weigh like 14 grams. And if it doesn't weigh 14 grams, then it needs to be refilled until it's 14 grams. So that's what I learned. Okay, so the thing with Copic markers is that there's so many different colors and like knowing how they all match. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to be able to sit here and tell you exactly how to blend these together. I'm just not super great with Copics yet, which is why you may opt for another company, which we can talk about Altenew as well, because those are the other ones that I have. I know there's Spectrum Noirs, there's all sorts of other companies, but these are the two that I happen to have. Basically, I tend to go for, like if I'm doing simple blending, picking something like G05 and G09 is probably going to work really well. They're a couple numbers apart. They're both still in the 0 family, and they should work pretty well together. I could go so far as to even shade in like that. So I have 2, 5, and 9, and that probably will work okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get used to blending. So like I said, I like to work from dark to light. So let me grab my 9 first. And instead of using the brush end, I'm going to use the chisel end and just chisel that down. And then I'm going to take the 5 and then grab the chisel end again on that. And I'm going to start partially into the 9. And then I'll take my 2, which should be super light compared to those 2. And then again, start partway in and work my way out. And I can see a line here right now, but the ink is moving. It like magic is happening in front of my eyes. All right. So if I want, I can see what it's like to go from light to dark as well. And you'll see like I'm getting that second layer on there, which is kind of helping to make it more intense of a color. Okay, so I've got that. And then, I don't know, I guess I could do, let's do something different. Let's do YG, so that's yellow green, so it's going to be more of a bright color. So 17, I have 13. We'll just do a 2-color blend on these, and I'll use the brush tip this time. And you can go back and forth with these just like you can do with the chisel tip. And of course you don't have to like stick with the same YG or Y or G or BG or whatever. You can mix colors together. It's okay. This is where you're just experimenting with different things, right? So I've taken a darker color. This is G16 Malachite, and maybe I want to blend that in. So let me grab this medium color as well and work this blend out a little bit. One more time. Okay, so I have these two blobs of color here, right? And you see how some of it went through because I went over it once or twice. You see how this didn't go through as much? That's pretty good. All right. So this is all still moving and mixing. Until it's dry, it's still doing its thing. Okay. And even after it's dry, if you put more marker over it, it's going to reactivate what's underneath it and things are going to start moving around again. Okay. But getting used to blending and using these and how they feel and whatever, this is a really great way to do it. So now I have these two pieces and they're almost dry. And I'm going to take, did I color it long enough? No. I didn't color either of these long enough. I could do the high. Let's do the high. I could do letters too. That would work as well. But you guys see where I'm going with this. So when I cut this out, ooh. You guys are quiet tonight. Are you learning or are you tired? Come on out. So already that looks really cool. I could use this on a project for sure. But here, this is the money. Oh, multitasking. Okay. There. Okay, so this is a way to use your markers to learn how to use them, right? So if you're just practicing blending and you want to see what kind of cool things you can do with it, yeah, go for it. Do it this way and explore a little bit. Let's do a different color combination. Let's see what happens. See, now I'm just like experimenting, so we'll have fun with that. This was awesome. I really like the way this is going to go on a card sometime soon for sure. And then, like I said, with this, I could cut it out, just a rectangle, and use that piece again as well. Find my Chad. Becky, was that you that called him a Chad? Well, now I call him Chads too. But yeah, I could cut this out and use this on a project as well. Yeah, absolutely. You can do the same thing with your Artezas, right? Okay, so let's do, I'm going to do one more with my Copics and then I'll pull out the Altenew ones and we can see what those are like. I wanted to do something that was like red to purple to blue. Does that sound crazy? Let's see. So this was a good purple. And then let's do this blue. Okay, so I have no idea how this is going to turn out. We're going to have fun with this together. Okay, so this is R39 garnet. Oh. Okay, so this has, you guys can't see that. I'm going to flip up real quick because I want you to see this. Focus. Focus on my hand. Come on. There we go. Can you guys see how that has like some gunk on the end of it? Can you see that? That means that it's bad. So this tip needs to be replaced because this gunk on the end of this will never come off and it will eventually just gum up your entire marker. And that's why this looks kind of crummy like that. This side is okay at the moment, but I'm going to set this marker aside and fix it up later. Okay, so that is garnet, set that aside. This one is strong red. And then violet. I don't know how this is going to work. Looks like I'm just going to get black. I don't know if this is going to really blend well or not. Yeah, that didn't blend so hot. When I cut it out, it might look really cool. What causes that? Boy, I'd be lying if I told you. I think it's just the ink getting stuck on it. And I don't know. I think it just happens over time. Copics require a certain amount of maintenance. Like all this ink that's around the edge here and inside your cap, you should come in periodically and clean that. So actually, I bet you I could tell you what happens. So when the inside of your cap, when you have ink around there, it's going to start to dry and get a little gummy. And it touches your marker tip and it basically attaches itself to it. So I'm sure that's probably where that comes from. If I look inside here, yeah, there's a lot of ink inside of the lid around the edges and stuff. And it probably just rubbed up against it when I was putting it away. And it's just reacting to air over time, probably. I'll see if I can find the article on it and I'll share it with you guys. I know that Amy Schulke, her name is Amy Schulke, and she's at Vanilla Arts Company. She talks about the goop and how to care for your markers. So, yeah. All right. So this is an interesting blend. It maybe didn't work out quite the way I wanted it to. That's okay. But let's cut it out anyway. Because it'll probably look better on the words than it will all on its own. The rest of the marker is still good. Schulke for Amy Schulke. The rest of the marker is still good. You just want to replace the nib, which you can do with Copics. That's easy. And I have nibs to replace it with, so I'm not concerned about that. Okay. So that's pretty cool. And as far as putting the brush tip, you're just better off replacing it from what I understand. And it doesn't, yes, you got it, Becca. So it doesn't, they're not really that expensive to do the replacement nibs, so easy to do. And then the rest of your marker is saved for the most part. You don't have to worry about that. If the end of your marker is so gunky that it's like coming up the edges and stuff like that, then, and your marker, after you replace the nib, the marker ink isn't flowing and it's been refilled and it's not flowing and flowing, it's probably a bad marker at that point. Like it's permeated itself into the barrel. I saw a picture of that out on her Vanilla Arts fan group the other day, and it was gross. But that's like worst case scenario. If you take good care of your markers, then it'll be just fine. She recommends, and she has a whole post on cleaning this. So she recommends cleaning this with little squares of rubbing alcohol, because that's what will take this off instead of using blending solution. However, you don't want the rubbing alcohol to touch the nib, because rubbing alcohol and the blending solution that's in here doesn't play well together. So you have to be really careful to clean up around the tip and everything. She has really, really good articles on how to clean and care for your Copics. So, and I will, like I said, if I find them, I will put that out in the community group here, out on my Facebook. So if you go, not Facebook, on YouTube. So if you go to my YouTube channel and you click on community, you know, we're getting like those little posts every once in a while now. I can put out posts there. I will put out some links to those articles so that way you guys can reference those. And Becca, I have saved up enough money that I think I'm going to be enrolling into Amy Schulke's marker coloring courses, because the work she does is unbelievable. And I am really excited to get better skills, because I want to be able to share with you guys and feel a little bit more like I know what I'm talking about, because I'm working with a limited skill set here. So there. Okay, so that's Copics. Okay, so really, I don't know that there's much difference between Copics and Altenew and Spectrum Noir and Arteza. And I want to say that Kiona, she's in that group that I just joined on Facebook. I think she just did a video, which I haven't watched yet. But the title of it leads me to believe that she mixes her markers. So she uses, like, you can use Copics and these and what have you. So lots of different choices. So with the Altenew ones, the reason why I like these is because they come in color families. So it makes it a little easier to do blending. You're welcome, Becca, anytime. And Heidi, what do you mean, which class am I teaching for Altenew? I'll give you the rundown and then you can figure out which one it is you're looking for. Okay, so I do for Altenew, I do Facebook and YouTube lives for them. So I show up twice a month on one channel or the other. Like I just did a YouTube live today with Altenew. And then on the 11th, I'll be on Facebook with them at 2:30 Central. So I do that. And then I have an Altenew Academy class. It's called Mission Inspiration. And that's a self-paced class that you can do. It is all about finding and organizing inspiration and then creating projects from that. And that you can sign up for anytime. And then, I am also doing their live Zoom classes, which are limited to like 10 people. And my next class is going to be May 26th. And the invitation for that just came out. I will post it here in the community section so that way you can find it. And I'll try to tag you if I can. And if not, you're in the Handmade Happiness group. Yes. So I can post it there too if you want. Or I can PM you too. All right. So the Altenew markers coordinate with their colors. So like this is marker set D, and these colors like Mountain Mist, Volcano Lake, Lagoon, and Emerald. This is a set of 4 that is also in their inks. And I think they have a paper set that is this as well. Excuse me. And they have it in some of their watercolors. So it's kind of nice because you have things that match, which makes it easier. And we can do the same thing with that. So I have the 4 colors here. This is Mountain Mist, Volcano Lake, Lagoon, and Emerald. And you can do the same thing with this that you can do with your Copics. The difference is so I've got a brush nib. And these are replaceable, and they have ink refills with these. So you've got the brush nib, and then on this side, instead of having a chisel tip, you have a bullet tip. So I'm just sharing what I know. That's all I'm doing, Paula. Okay, so this is Emerald, and I'm always opening the wrong side on these. Lagoon. And Volcano Lake. And then Mountain Mist. I might have done those in the wrong order. Did I do Lagoon second? Yeah, I did Lagoon second. Okay, so these kind of make it a no-brainer. because you know that these four are kind of meant to go together and that they're going to blend well. And actually, so let me extend these out a little further. So I like the Altenew ones because they do come with refills and you can replace the nibs. So that's a good thing. I know other brands, you can do the same. So I think Spectrum Noirs, you can refill and they have nibs. I just look out for brands that you can't get refills for, because then it might be a cheap marker, but every time you need a new one, you're having to buy the whole marker. And I'm really not comfortable with just throwing away this plastic barrel and such every time I need a new marker for that particular color, right? That's just me. I don't know what the weight on these should be. So I'm sure that these probably have a universal weight as well, just like Copics do, as far as like when they need to be refilled. But I don't know what they are. And I don't think Altenew necessarily has any guidance on that. I should have got out my bigger scissors. That's okay. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to do just some letters. Let's just do, since we're doing hellos and highs, let's just do more of that. I'm going to put them at an angle, because that'll be cool looking. Oh, so if you guys didn't know, I have a new sketch challenge up on my blog. It is from the latest Sketch Starters with Nicole. And I did have a couple participants last month. I'm glad you guys played along. And I did have a winner, and she got a $15 gift certificate to Altenew. So play, won't you? Okay, so... So again, a simple way that you can use these, again, with a different die set. I think that looks pretty cool. And then with this, I don't know if I have, do I have a frame that it'll fit in? Well, I guess it's at an angle, so that will look kind of funny. But I definitely could do that. I wonder... So close. Okay. I'm going to try something. Let's see if I can extend this color out all the way. So what I'm thinking of doing is getting this color to come out just a little further. And then I'm going to die cut it with this one. And then die cut another one in white to put inside of it. So it's just going to have like a little frame. We'll see what that looks like, if it works. Okay, so I'm assuming that, like, because you can see these lines here, I'm assuming that that's going to not matter. We'll see what happens. Do you fit? Ooh, just barely. Oops, I need that again. Okay. Oops, Oops, I can fix that. So there's that. And then I want to take, yeah, because that's going to cover that up. Did I cut you too small? I hope not. Is this really a double frame? Oh no, it's an outside frame. Okay. It'll have to be on this one. So that's the only drawback of using this little die cut machine, is that it only does 3-inch paper. Okay, so if I was going to do this, well, I guess I would color this whole thing in. I mean, you wouldn't have to if this is all you were going to do with it. But see, I'm going to fit this. Okay, it's not quite perfect because, see, look, I've got a little thing there. But I could probably put a flower there and no one would ever know. Oh, I'm getting inventive here. Okay, so put this in here. So now I have kind of a cool little frame. And actually there's like a little bit here. Yeah, Heidi, this is, so this is the mini blossom from Altenew. It has a 3-inch space here and it's perfect, yes, for sentiments and small die cuts. And I keep it over on my desk so that I don't have to just go over to my big die cut machine for everything, which is nice. I do find that I use it quite a bit. There are other brands out there that have a wider opening, like a 4 1/4. That in some ways is even better because you can fit a whole card base through it. Having the 3-inch opening is a little limiting, but I've seen ones that have a 4 1/4-inch opening, which is kind of nice. Okay, so there's that. And then if I wanted to, see, I could put my high on here. But see, I've got this little space here. So that's when I go to my scrappy bin. I probably wouldn't use these together because, see, these were done at an angle and that looks kind of funny together. So I'll use these for something else. But in the scrap bin, I was thinking of this guy. Oh, hey, these are left over from a couple of weeks ago, yeah? Running out of space. Yeah, so a total little impromptu thing. Unfortunately, I think this die, this one here, the Hello and Hugs, is so popular that it's not available right now. I might have to set it aside so I stop using it for projects. There. I don't know, maybe I didn't need this little one under here. Oh no. What did you order from them? So cute. Here, I'll flip it up. Whoops, wrong screen. Cute. The last Build-A-Flower, the Torch Ginger. I thought you had the Torch Ginger. Because that was the last Build-A-Flower, wasn't it? Anyway, awesome. So that was a fun little put together. So see another way that you can use markers that gets you started with actually using them. Okay, so let's see, it's 5:30. Oh, let me do one other thing with dyes that I was thinking of. I don't know how well that would work. I was thinking that if you just cut out the dye and you did just some shadowing on the sides, but I don't know. That's kind of a half-formed idea in my head. Okay, but I had some other stamp sets pulled out. Oh, you know what? Here's an easy one to do. We'll do this guy. We'll do this little kitty cat. This is Waffle Flowers Cookie Love. So cute. And that's, I mean, bigger because there's a big open space, right? So you don't have to worry about little detail areas so much. I wanted to show you, though. I have to show you. Okay. So I have to hide part of this because it's not released yet. But you see this flower here and how like unbelievably detailed it is. I had to make up a lot of this as I went because this is what the stamp looks like. So even though it's like, oh, there's just all this big open space for me to color in, I really had to think about like where the ruffles and folds and bends would be in the flower. So like this piece right here, you see this one with all the white in it here. That is, let me think about where that is. That's this leaf right here. And you see it's just empty. So like in my mind, I had to think of like, what's going on with this leaf that it has this little, or this petal that it has this little bend here. Oh, it's kind of bending and there would be light here and then it would bend and curve and there's a little dark here and a little dark here. So this is like a totally advanced project because I had to come up with all of the texture and the shadows and the light and everything. But in the end, it's beautiful. So this took me about an hour to color because I had to think about all these little pieces. And there were a lot of ugly duckling moments because when I put in the lighter colors and everything, and it's just kind of looking blobbish and things are really fuzzy and not defined yet. It really doesn't come together until you put these final touches of the dark colors in the end. So yeah, that's next level, right? So that's like, we need to work on basics before we get to that. So I'm hoping that when I take these classes from Amy Schulke, that will help me with those kinds of advanced things. Okay. So Sue is asking me a question about cover plates. Yes, I have cover plates and I love cover plates. Cover plates are difficult because you need a shim. Yes, exactly, Heidi. So you either, so like in the mini blossom, you use a metal shim and this helps to add just the extra pressure that you need in order to cut super thin shapes and stuff. Okay, so same thing with your Big Shot or whatever. Sue, what kind of machine do you have? I will show you a couple of things that may be helpful for you. I'll be right back. Okay. So the flowers, I think it's painted flowers, not Bamboo Rose. Close. Okay, so you have a big kick. So big shot, big kick, same. Get yourself a precision base plate. This one happened to come from Stampin' Up! Back in the day. They don't sell it anymore. This is metal, and you use this for cutting super detailed dies. So you would use your cutting pad, then you put down your die face down with your paper, and then this base plate. So everything sits on this plate and cuts into this plate. You can see all the cuts that I have in here. It cuts into this metal plate. And then you have your platform at the bottom. So go on to Sizzix.com and look up precision base plate. Okay, don't worry about Stampin' Up! Because they don't carry it anymore. Precision base plate. All right. And when you do that, it will help with your detailed dies, especially the cover dies and things like that. So that's that one. If you have a Gemini, so like the electronic machine, that's what this metal shim is for. See, this is, you can see the cover plates that I've put in here. This is the gradient dots, and I have some of the other ones that I've used this for. So this is part of their sandwich. So you use that, and if you look in the instruction book, it'll show you exactly what you need to use for that. And then I have found too that the iCrafter mat works really well with precision cutting and base and cover plates. So for me, this is another option too. But I would look into the precision base plate for you. All right. Good question. Okie dokie. So Heidi, I know you want to know. So this is Cookie Love by Waffle Flower, and it does come with coordinating dies, just so you know. And I have this listed down in the description as well, because I knew we might be using it tonight. I had it pulled out. Look. Is this piece big enough? Yeah. Okay, so remember, we want to use, I will use something different this time. I'll use the Memento. Kitty. Kitty with cookies. Oh, you know what? I didn't. This is a first time use, guys. I haven't used this one yet. So the ink was, because this is a dye ink, it was really beating up on here. So I just need to, you can use a white eraser, or you can just use your finger to make the, I just rub it until it looks kind of milky in color. You see how that looks milky now in color instead of clear? If you do that, that'll help condition your stamps. Again, you can use a white eraser, a plastic eraser, whatever, but that works just as well. So cute. All right, so that needs just a second to dry because it is a dye-based ink. It just takes a little bit. So I'll even do his cookie jar while I'm at it. Why not? We might get to it. Oops. Not conditioned. Okay, I didn't stamp that one so well. Oh well. That'll work. So I'm going to use my Altenews for this, I think. Yeah. So I don't know why, but I feel like this kitty needs to be gray. Oh, I do, huh? Because my kitties are gray. They're not tabbies, they're tuxedos. Okay. So this is the warm gray set. So I'll just give you a color rundown. This is Lava Rock and Moon Rock and Morning Frost, which I think is the lightest color, and Evening Gray. All right, so Morning Frost is the lightest color, so I'll get those guys in order. Okay, so I'm probably going to come back to Lava Rock last because it's the super darkest, and if I want to put any detail in, I might want to make it look more detailed, so I'm going to wait on that one. So I'm going to start with the third darkest, which is Moon Rock. And I think I'm going to do it so that his stripes are, oh, should he be orange? See, the problem with orange is I really only have like orange. Well, and it's always more of like a brown orange, but my kitties are gray, so we're sticking to gray. Okay, so I'm going to do it so his stripes are darker. And this is what's called a flicking technique. So you start and you go and you flick. So you get these little flick motions like that. And if you just start with your line and then flick, 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 that's going to help blend in your colors because it's going from like a dark to light, which helps to blend in the rest. So then if I start back in a little bit and do the same flicking motion. All right, he's going to be so cute. I almost colored in his paw. Am I pressing down and then lifting? How does that feel? No, I'm just starting and then stopping. There's not a push per se. It's just putting it down and then dragging it away. Yeah, so I guess, Miss Tamp, it's almost like a lighter drag. I hope you're not going to break your markers. Are you going to break in your markers maybe? Bye, Sue. Thank you so much for stopping by. Okay, so yeah, it's not like it's definitely not a push because you don't want to, if you push down, that's what I would get. So it's more of like a place and go. This is something you can practice on a piece of paper to get these little flicks. Oh, you are going to break your markers, but you have more nibs. Okay. Okay, so for the kitty himself, I'm going to do it in the lighter color. So I'm going to kind of stick to these two, but I'm going to use this one, the darker one, the Moon Rock, to just do a little bit of coloring under his paws there for a shadow. And then a little bit around his feet there. And then probably just a little bit here to give him, oh, we're going to give him a big belly. So you see how I just added that whole little triangle in there, and now it looks like he has a belly. Okay, so this is gonna help him look like a little belly kitty. So when I'm working in bigger areas, I'm not doing that flicking necessarily. I mean, I can do it now. That's a good place to do it. But sometimes you just need to fill in some of the color. Okay, so there's these little spots on his paws that I want to be like a really light color, and I don't really have a lighter color to go to. I mean, I guess I could go to like a super light brown or beige if I wanted to, but instead I'm going to use the colorless blender, and I'm just going to go back into the lightest color. So I'll show you what that looks like in a bigger piece here in a second. And then, you know, maybe he has a little bit of a mark down the center. We don't want to make him look shiny, but we want to give him just a little bit of some texture there. So we'll see what that looks like. Okay, so what I did there, let me show you. So I had this color, and then I went into the next lighter color. And then let's say, so I want to finish this off because I want this line to look blended. So I'm going to take my colorless blender and I'm going to go from the opposite side in. And that's going to blend in this line without affecting it further in. Because if I went from this way out, I would get a hard line right here. So it's just like flicking here. You see how when I flick here, I have a darker color here and lighter here. The same thing happens when I use the colorless blender. So I want it to be more here and less as I go in. That way I have a blend instead of a hard line. I hope that makes sense. Which part of the nib is touching the paper? So can you see? It's like this part right here. It's not, here, I'll put it down a little further. It's like right here. It's not the very tip. It's just the side. But it's about how much pressure you put on it. If you put a lot of pressure on it, you're going to get a bigger blob like this. If you put less pressure on it, you're going to get these smaller ones. And really, your nib is going to be okay until it either frays or it starts gooping up like that one we saw earlier. All right. So see, I did that with the white and then, or with the colorless blender, and now it's blended out that line there, and he has little white tips to his paws. All right. So let me finish this guy up. I need, what color is this? Morning Frost, Evening Gray. Okay. It's a very light touch. Like almost, I mean, barely touching the paper in a way. And sometimes when you just want a little bit, yeah, you are going to use that tip just to make thin lines, and you're really just touching the paper. There we go. Oops, I almost forgot. Okay, so I missed some of these little guys up here. He's so cute. And then I can put, ooh, you know what? I'm going to do a black nose on him. I don't have my black out over here, so I'm just going to use a Copic. And then just a little pink in his ears. And if I want to add more detail now, I can take that super dark and I might just do some of the littlest flicks. This is more of a style choice because you're going to see those lines, but I'm okay with that because it's kind of like fur, but not quite. I knew I was going to do that too. I just did that on his paw like it was one of his stripes, and I didn't mean to do that. Oh well. So cute. There he is. I just leave it because, so Paula asked if the color transfers to the nib. Honestly, I don't really think it transfers too much. So like if I use, oops, wrong side, the dark, like the chances of going from dark to light might happen, but see, I'm really not, I didn't get anything on the nib. It doesn't really go, it doesn't really transfer that way. You can do marker to marker coloring though. I've seen this before, and Aram Tasneem over at Altenew does this all the time. So she takes one marker and puts it on the other marker and then uses that for kind of an intermediary kind of color. And then, I mean, it just comes out after a few strokes. So I wouldn't really worry about it. It's not gonna, when you do it on paper, it's not gonna transfer. All right. So there's our cute little guy. And the chocolate chips, like those would be pretty easy, actually. I don't know that I would spend a whole lot of time with them, to be honest with you. I mean, you could, but it's such a small thing. This is more about just using the markers to color with like normal without shading and such. And that's an okay thing to do too, because you know what's nice about these is that they don't, you know, like unlike water based inks, they don't leave streaks as much, right? Put a little bit of color in there. Do a little, no, I really want a red heart, so I'm going to grab a Copic. And the jar, just like I did before, I'm going to take, because I know this works well. Where's my C1? I put the wrong lid on my C1. I'll color the jar in. So cute. There we go. All right, guys. So we had a lot of fun tonight working with some alcohol inks. And I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. It is just about 6 o'clock, so that means it's time for me to go because it's dinner time. So thanks for stopping by. I will be back next week. We didn't talk about what you guys might want to do, but if you want to leave something in the comments, you're more than welcome to. Just the comments below in the video if you have any ideas for next week. Otherwise, I will just come up with a surprise for everybody. And of course, we'll be doing our Festive Friday project. So you get to see what that is. So thanks, guys, so much for stopping by. And don't forget about all the fun challenges I talked about. I will give you guys some links to some articles from Amy Schulke over in the community area. So be looking for that. And I will be back next week. So have a good week, everyone. Be safe. Enjoy the weekend. I hope it's sunny and getting warm where you are, because I'm hoping for that here too. Awesome. Thanks, guys, so much for coming by today, and I will see you next week. Bye.